episode. Yes, that's right. We don't normally dress like this.
Well, you don't.
Today on the show, things are getting spooky with Hunter the Reckoning, Wayward, and Redeemer for Xbox and PlayStation 2. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Chaos Bleeds. Castlevania, Lament of Innocence for the PlayStation 2. And Grabbed by the Ghoulies for the Xbox. The show, as you might have guessed, is all the sort of horror, scary type games that are out there. And we're going to start off with the sequel to Hunter the Reckoning. This one's called Hunter the Reckoning Redeemer for the Xbox.
Did you see that Kaylee chick?
Right.
Wow!
I know where this is going. She is the little girl that you're trying to save in the first game.
Boy, is she grown up.
She's grown up quite well. It takes place 10 years later. The 4 hunters from the previous game are back. So we've got the judge guy, we've got the biker guy, we've got the raver girl, we have the defender who's the cop. And now they're joined by Kaylee.
What I like is the controls, because you use the left stick to control your person. You use the right stick to control the aiming of the weapons. It's kind of like Robotron.
Well, very much like Robotron, but they added this extra pull the trigger thing. It's the same problem I had with it last year. Your finger starts to hurt after a while. I swear, you're getting like stress repetitive syndrome playing this game. It's never spent any time on a farm, this guy. Okay, has no idea what he's doing. You know, I think this game offers a lot of fun if you have friends coming over to play the game with you. I think if you're playing it by yourself, you're revisiting areas a lot. You're beating up on the same bad guys.
I thought the storyline was really good and
Yep.
interesting. It intrigued me, and the acting was okay. And you know, the characters were really
cool.
The cutscenes are really well defined. I mean, the graphics overall are awesome. Some of the effects as well, like you can see kind of the wet reflection on the concrete at nighttime.
Yep.
And I'll tell you one other thing I liked about this game.
What's that?
Lots of swearing.
Yes, there
Lots of swear words.
It's a mature-rated game.
Yeah.
My biggest beef with the game, they didn't improve the invisible wall thing, and they also haven't really worked out the camera angles. You want to take a look around at what you're racing through, but you can't. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
I'm giving it an 8. I like these twitchy, kill everything on screen type of stuff. On the positive side, the controls are very intuitive. The cutscenes and cinematics and storyline really draw you in. And the graphics and special effects are really well done.
On the negative side, there are still invisible barriers that you can't jump over. The environments are cool, the camera should be controllable so you can see them properly, and the action just gets way too repetitive if you're playing solo player. What did you think of Hunter the Reckoning Wayward for the PlayStation 2?
Where was Kaylee in this one?
This one's only a couple of years after events from the first Hunter the Reckoning game.
I can't believe the same developer did this game and the Xbox version, which is so much better.
It's interesting because it does feel like they kind of shortchanged the PlayStation 2 version a little bit. All of the sort of graphical things that we took for granted in the Xbox game have been sort of compromised a little bit on this version. You only get 2-player multiplayer in this game.
I gotta say that this game had the worst invisible walls I've ever experienced in my entire video gaming career. I mean, there were places where there were just doorways and you couldn't walk through them. Some of the animations are so choppy as well. Yeah. I mean, you'll be an animation where you walk up to a table and then you push forward, and then the next thing is that he's on the table.
Yeah, I know. One of the things that I really enjoyed about the PlayStation 2 game, though, was the use of the dual analog, dual shoulder buttons, because you can automatically shift between your melee weapon and your projectile weapon. So, what are you going to give this one, then?
I'm going to give it a 6.
You give it a 6? I'm going to give it a 6.5. On the positive side, I like the controls in Wayward. The graphics are pretty good in this game, nice environment effects, but the best part about Wayward is the game's great storytelling.
On the negative side, it has some of the worst invisible walls we've ever seen. The combos and special moves were way too complex, and the character animations are way too jittery and jumpy.
I think the Hunter the Reckoning games are kind of making you a bit of a mad cow, so why don't we
move on to Buffy?
Why don't we move on to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Chaos Bleeds. This one's for the Xbox, but it's also available for PlayStation 2 and GameCube. What'd you think about the new Buffy game?
The first game was all about Buffy's buns.
Right.
And this game it absolutely does not drop the ball, as we would say,
right.
On Buffy's buns. They are wonderful.
It's not only Buffy this time. That's the big story here. You
right.
don't just get to play as Buffy. You actually get to play as Faith, another Slayer. You get Willow, who's got all these cool magical attacks. You get Xander, who is kind of lame.
He can't fight very good, just like in the show.
And then you got Spike.
But the weirdest guy...
Sid the dummy.
Sid?
The one and only. I know, you haven't been the same since I left. The ladies love the wood.
Every one of these characters has their own special abilities and their own sort of fighting techniques. They really do feel different.
Want to see my tail?
That's very nice. Very nice tail.
Want to hold this?
No, they got all the voice actors from the show. Except for Willow and Buffy, and they sound perfect.
Xander, you take the training room. Spike, head down to the basement. Willow and I will keep them busy in here. We will?
It actually makes you want to go out and like buy the DVDs or watch the show and stuff.
You're absolutely correct. And what they've done with the gameplay and the whole story is that it sort of takes place in the middle of season 5. It's like the lost episode. There you go.
My udders are itching.
Yeah, I bet they are.
Any game where you can just walk up and punch a guy in the nads is okay in my book.
Here's my problem with that, though. I thought the fighting got a little bit repetitive like it did in the last game. And I found it too difficult to do any of the jumping sort of things that I had to do. I spent 20 minutes on the edge of this coffin, and I was trying to jump to a ledge.
Sometimes you're doing magic, playing from a distance.
Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad game. I like the game. I also like the fact that they put in multiplayer games in there as well. So there's actually 24 other characters that you can unlock, and you've got like deathmatch style games or King of the Hill style games. I'm giving it 8.5 out of 10.
That's exactly what I give it, 8.5. On the positive side, it's all about the amazing graphics and Buffy's wonderful buns. The gameplay is really deep. There's multiple characters you can play, different weapons, and there's even a multiplayer experience. Oh, and lastly, you can punch a guy right in the nuts!
On the negative side, this really is a great game, but people that hate the Buffy the Vampire Slayer show probably won't enjoy it that much.
No, duh.
I had a lot of problem with the jumping puzzles in the game, and beating up on the vampires can get a little repetitive. Stick around, things are going to get a lot scarier when we come back with Castlevania: Lament of Innocence.